But most people would say, well, it's going to cost me $5,000 a month to hire that person. God, $5,000 a month. What if I don't bring in clients? I mean, where's that supposed to come from? That's a cost mentality. An investment mentality is that $5,000 a month is going to free up so much time. Of course, I'll bring in the clients. And so far, my experience with that is it's absolutely 100% true. So I have someone helping me on the operations side, saving me time, giving me more time to do what I can do to add value.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we're joined by Curtis Butler. He is the founder of Guided Ascent Career Coaching. Welcome to the show, Curtis.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Nice to be here.
Yeah, we were having such a great conversation before we started recording this, but I'm so curious. Tell me the origin story. Tell me the lore. Let's start at the beginning. What was the moment that you decided this was kind of like your life work of coaching?
Sure. So I was born to serve. I've known that my whole life. And when I went through school and then went to graduate school, I became a teaching assistant, was one of the youngest people in my grad programs, but I was the TA in economics. And I realized I absolutely love this. Helping people understand complicated things, helping diffuse their fears, right? Build their confidence. It was absolutely a wonderful experience. And it made me realize, wow, I have a knack for this and I love doing it. So as my career progressed in finance, I just found myself mentoring and coaching an awful lot of people. Anyone who needed a little assistance, needed a little advice, whether I worked with them or it was college students at my alma mater, undergraduate and grad school alma maters, just there to help. And I did that for 30 years. And then I've reached a point in my finance career where I thought it just wasn't as rewarding anymore, kind of fulfilling. And I found myself leaning more and more on the service part, on helping particularly young people think about and launch their careers, have more success, because as you've probably seen all the headlines, graduate outcomes have become really challenged. So much so that in the US, 50+% of college graduates, so right out of school, in the past 10 years have taken jobs that do not require a college degree. So we're talking Starbucks barista, really part-time work, underemployment. And the scariest part of all is that 80% of them are still in that position 10 years later. So it really matters what you do coming out of school. Those people who wander around campus and find the career center during their senior year, they're in a really tough spot because it's so competitive out there now. It's really challenging. So I said, you know what? I just want to help these guys find more success. And I'm very glad to say that just after my first year, it's really working.
Congratulations, by the way, with
Thank
all
you.
that. I'm so curious because I'm sure you have so much experience through your finance career and all that. What made you want to focus on the youth or focus on the kids? How did you decide who you wanted to help?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's the greatest need. Number one, the people that young people fall back on are their parents. And I can just speak from my own experience as a parent. At some point, your kids stop listening to you, right? In their teenage years, whether it's an evolutionary necessity or not, they just kind of stop listening to mom and dad and assert their independence. So when they're struggling with all these life choices and all these lessons they need to learn, and there's so much more demanded of them now. In college, you really need to get on track quickly or you're going to fall behind. They really just need people to turn to and people they can be open and honest with and reveal themselves and confess their anxiety. And so what I have found is, yes, I have a lot to offer people to help them build their careers, get jobs. I've been in the interview room easily more than 500 times. So I really know how to train them And particularly if they're interested in finance, I can give them training that no one else can give them, and that'll show up in the interview. So my clients tend to really stand out. But it's the other piece that I think is going to be one of the major hallmarks of my business, which is what I call my compassionate candor. So I help you with a soft hand. I help you. I listen to you. I spend a third of all of my calls with clients building them up, boosting their confidence, reminding them what's special about them, what they have to offer the world, which is why I ask the same question at the end of every call. How you feeling? And they almost always say the same thing, either great or better or less anxious, more focused. So it's that piece. I think there's a lot of people who can advise people on their resumes and cover letters and even interviewing tactics. But all of that experience that I have is really kind of topped off, augmented. And what makes me different is the other piece, that compassionate empathy and true ability to understand them and help them discover what they really want to do.
And you're in a really interesting field because you're not only dealing with the students, right? You're also dealing with the parents as well, and who are the ones that are probably paying for the services, right?
100%. Yeah.
Earlier, you're telling me the dynamic with the mom and dads and stuff like that, but what do you feel like the reason why they choose to work with you over like other career coaches and stuff?
Sure. I think it's a combination of one, the overwhelming experience that I bring, the success, working at firms like JP Morgan, a really long career in finance where I've had many different roles and can offer the perspective of the hiring manager. Because a lot of career coaches just are trained in coaching. They don't have that real life experience. And I joke all the time, who leaves a career in finance to become a coach, right? I could have just stayed in that just forever and made incredible amounts of money, but it just wasn't as fulfilling to me anymore. And you're 100% right that with the cohort, I work with pretty much anyone at this point, but most of my clients are under the age of 25, and most of them are under the age of 22. So they're college students or recent graduates. I get calls now, randomly referrals from mid-career professionals saying, I was pushed out or I want to make a career shift. Can you help me? So I do help them. And again, I've been in their shoes. I've been in between jobs, and I really do know how to help them present a better story, a better version of themselves, and a compelling one that has people on the other side who are just tend to be very narrowly focused on, oh, you had a 2-year gap. Like, who cares? What's my skill set? How can I help you? It's got nothing to do with the gap. So I get them reframing the thinking. But in the student's case, 100%, it's the parents who hire me, and it's usually the moms. And the moms say, great, he's got all these bona fides. This is the program, the way he works. It's very methodical. Someone my child can lean on a regular basis. That's not us, because we don't know how to do this. But in the end of the day, it's also, okay, this person cares about my child. Curtis Butler cares about the person in front of him and really wants to help and not just give them a script. It's more pull the story out of them.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you ever read this book, but it's called Trusted Advisor.
I haven't, but I will.
Yeah, well, there's like one memorable thing in it. You don't need to read the whole thing.
Okay.
But there's something called the trust equation. And something that really stands out why people trust you and probably work with you is probably like, one, the credibility. You obviously have the finance background and all that, the career stuff. But the more interesting thing is the intimacy part. It sounds like you're holding space for a lot of these people, and people feel comfortable being emotionally vulnerable with you, sharing all these things as well.
Yes, 100%. I had a call last night. I accommodate, right? If somebody has a job or they have an urgent interview the next day, yes, I'll set aside time for you. I'm here to help you, remember? But I had a call with a college student, just returned to campus. He's a senior, and he's so completely stressed out. Big, burly guy, like athletic, kind of man's man. He was choking back tears. And I just said, keep it coming, dude. Like, you can let it out. Just let it out. I'll never judge you, not a single time. I get how you feel. Let it out. Don't bury it. Let's talk it through. So a half-hour call became an hour call. And by the end of it, he was breathing better and he was feeling, okay, I have a plan. Planning is the antidote to anxiety, right? Preparation. So that's what we focus on. It's like, okay, all right, I'll see you in 3 days. Okay, we have a plan. Yes, I think you're 100% right. It's the trust. It's the safe place to fall.
Yeah, and one next thing before I move on to the next question is like, I think especially right now, with like young men and young boys, they don't really have a masculine figure to like turn to. Yes, there's the parents, but you said right in the beginning, like at some point in time, you don't listen to your dad anymore, right? And you need an outside figure. And it sounds like you play that role for a lot of young kids out there. I do want to ask you, it's been 1 year since you started this. How do people kind of like find out about you? Let's talk about the marketing aspect.
Sure. And that's a huge focus of my, I'll call it free time, is really how to get the word out. So I started my local community, and I have a bunch of mentors, and anyone who's just starting a business out there. Networking is your best friend, and there are really experienced people who will decide to be your mentor. They want to help. And if you have a real relationship and it's not just one-sided, and you show your appreciation, it's amazing how much people want to help. So I've had so many mentors tell me, Kurt, your local market is going to be your primary source of clients for a while. I live in an affluent area outside of New York and Connecticut, and where families are facing this and they have the resources to actually hire me as a coach. So right now it's largely referrals. I built up a practice by offering an awful lot for very little money at the beginning, and then got a reputation, and then got referrals, and I got Google reviews. I'm racking up Google reviews, which makes me very happy.
Yeah.
But then it's just now referral after referral. And people that I personally knew, haven't talked to in years, said, yeah, I was just talking to a friend of mine who told me about her son's experience, and he had a coach. And I said, oh, who is the coach? It was like, Curtis Butler. It's like, I worked with Curtis Butler for 10 years. So that's a call I had yesterday. It's kind of cool. And then eventually, I'm putting out content. It's hard to find the time to put out as much content as you want, but I'm putting out content on social, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and some people have discovered me there. But what's neat is even my local community, they're just getting that affirmation all the time because the moms are seeing me on Instagram. And they're seeing me, every week. They're getting more exposure to me, even if they know about me or have heard good things. Like, Curtis really is delivering. So they need to see me frequently to remember, I want him to work with my child. Because otherwise we're so distracted by our lives, right? We don't think of those things.
And I'm sure for a lot of parents, those touch points are really important because that's the most valuable thing to these parents, your children, right?
100%.
So you tried content marketing. Obviously, referrals have been working really well with you. Have you tried any other sorts of marketing so far? Or are you thinking about any sort of marketing at the moment that you haven't tried yet?
Yeah, I absolutely am. Again, I've done a lot of research, and, the Russell Brunsons of the world with their funnels, right? They're very successful using sales funnels. You attack the broader audience, you narrow it down, people start following you, they start taking interest in you, and then you have a warm lead. That's a lot of work to do, but it's actually probably pretty successful. But for me, as a high ticket coach, it's really people who already know me or who have heard about me in the community. And then, as I said, then they can hop on and see my content. That's why I want to start creating better, high quality content, getting more followers. So it's taken more seriously. That's, and there's time to do that. And there's people who can help me with that. But the other thing is, I'm seriously looking into advertising. I offer free workshops. For example, I started a monthly free workshop series. I have one tonight, but this podcast will not be done tonight. But it's really about helpful stuff, mostly for parents. So the last one was the most important topic, which is confidence, how to help our kids boost their confidence. Because when they're out of a job, man, it's hard. And the one tonight is if your child's interested in a finance career, then this is what you need to know about how that recruiting process has changed. But I'm interested in all those different avenues. I think advertising on Facebook, LinkedIn, maybe even YouTube, I think they probably work to get people who are interested enough in the topic to then say, oh, I do want to jump on Curtis's workshop. I do want to listen to or watch that 10-minute video. And then when they get to see me in practice, whether it's not in person, but it's at least on screen, then they can say, this interests me, I'll book a consultation call. So that is definitely something I'll be doing more of, because I want this is never meant to be hang up a shingle and just be a coach filling up his calendar. This is meant to help a lot more people. So my ultimate goal, hopefully even in 2026, is to start hiring other coaches that I can train to do a lot of the middle work while I still handle the onboarding, which is that critical conversation, and the other piece, which is a real expertise of mine, which is that interview prep. And then I can help other people, training them on the resumes and the cover letters, and I use AI tools a lot with my clients. So they gain those skills so much so that they can put them on their resume, which is another cool aspect of the coaching. But I'm open to all those things. Eventually, I want to approach corporations and say, Microsoft, give me 5 feeder schools where you tend to pull your new grads from. And for a certain annual amount, I will give all my content and access to me to those schools and train them up before they come to you. Because the corporations are making it very clear that the communication skills, the professionalism that young people are bringing to the first day on the job are not where they need to be. And I say all the time to parents, let's not blame our kids. This is something we gave them. Let's not blame them for the world they were born into, and for these intoxicating tools that the world now has made a necessity for them. But we do need to train them up on the skills they're not gaining, because their primary communication is through Snapchat and text.
One thing I love when you're speaking, I actually really resonate with it. I feel it. Like it's beyond just revenue, right? There, of course, you're a business, but at the end of the day, it really sounds like you're wanting to scale your impact too. And I don't say that in a cliche way. I mean, like actually in a meaningful way. And so as you're thinking about this vision, what are some challenges that you're kind of running into, like trying to get these or scale your business in 2026, I guess?
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to build the car while driving it, right? It's really hard to do both at the same time. So if I'm scaling my business successfully, I'm getting a lot of clients. That just means that's more demands on my time, allows for less time for me to make those connections, to actually have, literally the free time and space to think about my business, right? You hear about Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. They just have thinking time blocked off on their calendar. Well, it pays to be rich, right? So for me, I spend a lot of time coaching, a lot of time taking consultations, and wherever I can, I need to start thinking, developing connections, and building the tools. I'm starting to bring in people. Really, some people are just volunteering to help, to help me kind of like build the operations aspects and scale. Like we talked about marketing. You got to take time to create that content. You got to make that content professional. You got to put it in the right places. Right? You got to have people help you do that, and it requires those revenues. So I'm at the stage right now where it feels like I'm at the inflection point where this could really take off, in which case I would need to bring on other people to help me. But we talk about lessons for other coaches. And one of the most important lessons I learned is, just because I consume content a lot, I listen to audiobooks from the marketing gurus or the coaching gurus, like Dan Sullivan, right? Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. One of the most eye-opening moments that almost made me crash my car listening to this audiobook was understanding his whole philosophy around who, not how. So typically when people want to solve a problem or create a new business, they say, how do I do that? And the answer needs to be, no. Who can do it for me? And so I've really started to embrace that investment mentality, rather than what I see most of the time, whether it was my career in business or with other entrepreneurs, is a cost and a fear mentality. So, for example, in the book, they talk about bringing on an administrative assistant to take care of all the tedious stuff that wastes our time, because we need to be spending our time on the revenue generating content where we really add value. Where's my skill? My skill is not in paperwork, right? But most people would say, well, it's going to cost me $5,000 a month to hire that person. God, $5,000 a month. what if I don't bring in clients? I mean, where's that supposed to come from? That's a cost mentality. An investment mentality is that $5,000 a month is going to free up so much time. Of course, I'll bring in the clients. And so far, my experience with that is it's absolutely 100% true. So I have someone helping me on the operations side, saving me time, giving me more time to do what I can do to add value and for more people to be able to see it. So my goal and my challenge is bring in enough revenue where I can gradually start to add resources, add help. Once I add help, my ability to bring in even more revenue starts to go asymptotic, starts to really just take off in a nonlinear fashion. And that's really, really important. So it's investment rather than cost mentality.
I can tell we read a lot of the same books. You're talking about like Ben Hardy, Dan Sullivan. I was like,
Yeah.
X is equal to 2X, who, not how. Like, and then you said thinking time. I was like, Keith Cunningham and his thinking time thing. I'm not sure if you ever read that book, but yeah.
No, but I
it's
know
really
that I know the thesis. And Alex Hormozy has been the person I've been leaning on the most lately. Really about how to grow your business, how to do the advertising, the marketing, to make your offer more compelling, to get more leads, and to close more of those leads. So my number one bit of advice is listen to the rich gurus who've done this before. And the rich part's important because they no longer feel the need to make money from you. They're just giving it away.
Yeah. That's what I love about Hormozy and stuff. If you're into Hormozy, I got something for you after a podcast. I'll send it to you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Let's move on to the next segment because we're on this like topic of investment. Let's play a game if you're down. It's called Good Investment, Bad Investment. So what is the best investment for your coaching business that you made? And what is the worst investment that you wish you got your money back from? I'm very curious. It could be coaching, training, team members, masterminds, anything. But I'm just so curious about like what it was, why it worked or didn't work. And maybe you don't have to give names of what the program or anything is, but roughly like what it cost you at the time.
Sure. Yeah. It's the good news is I've been starting out relatively small. You know, we have a family with significant financial demands. So I've been relatively very cost conscious so far. This is why it's been so helpful to have collaborators, people that I can learn from. We teach each other. We share our experiences. I say all the time, we rise together. And I learn so much from people like that. But the best investment so far has been in having enough supportive technology so that a one-person shop can run this fairly seamlessly. I had that friend I referred to that I used to work with, speaking with him yesterday, and he said, Curtis, it was really professional the way you had your appointment booking. It was really professional the way your checkout works on your website, so I can buy your services. That's really important to make the investment in enough of a tech stack and enough software solutions so that things can flow relatively seamlessly. So I'm not putting out fires every 5 minutes. And for perfect example, I record every one of my sessions and I send with Fireflies and I send that recording to the clients so they can listen to the recording, they can download the transcript. And then, like I said, I work with AI. So literally they have a job search project, download every transcript into your job search project and your resume and your cover letters. And now Claude or ChatGPT has all the information they need to really help keep this organized and streamline the process. And you just say, hey, please tell me the top 10 things Curtis said I need to do. And what are my greatest strengths because I'm having a bad day? It's incredible, actually. Yes, investing in AI and investing the time, to related to your question, to really be able to incorporate AI into my practice and to teach it to all of my clients, huge payoff.
What a wonderful time we live in with AI. Like it can take this. I think one of the coolest things about AI is like you can take a large data set of all these discussions with coaches and stuff, and they can recognize patterns, like things that you kind of always knew but aren't top of mind for you. I'm like, oh yeah, like I am that way. Or it can actually recognize again the concept of the gain versus the gap, Ben Hardy's type of thing. Yeah,
another Dan
Sullivan.
Gap in the gain.
Yeah. But you can actually see the gains that you've made over the years, which sometimes we just like ignore sometimes too.
And I get
Cool.
back to that the mentor idea. I mean, there's a very successful tech CEO and investor who doesn't need to work, but he now helps other CEOs. And just friend of a friend, we connected. He gave me the best advice just less than a year ago. It's like, you need to focus on outcomes. Stop focusing on times. Like, you get X sessions for X dollars. No, Curtis. You're not an hourly wage guy. You're a guy who adds so much value. You need to focus on getting people the outcome they're looking for. And you need to think of in value in terms of, as opposed to price, right? You know all of this, Kevin. So my business made a leapfrog improvement as soon as I started doing that less than a year ago. And I just spoke to him the other day, and he said, this is the amazing thing about Mentor. He's like, Curtis, I'm just blown away. I saw your post. It's amazing about your summary. I actually named him in the post. And he said, so let's catch up to where you are. And then he gave me 10 new nuggets of amazing advice. It's just incredible. You have to be willing to reach out to people and let them help you.
Speaking about advice, you kind of stole the question from me. I think I kind of know what the answer is. But if you had to start over again tomorrow with 0 followers, 0 clients, but all the knowledge that you have now, what would you do in your first 90 days? Would you do anything differently?
Yes. So my first 90 days, I was thinking too small ball. And I wasn't trusting, because most people are fear and cost based. Let's face it. So people I reached out to in local community, like, Curtis, you don't even know if people are going to pay you for your coaching. And of course I knew that, but it brought doubt into the equation. I knew the value that I could add. I knew the success that I already had when I wasn't even doing this for a living. So right out of the bat, it would be to recognize the value I add, to find a way to get that in front of people. So do as many talks as I possibly could. And I've learned a lot in the past year about how to do that. And then engage the whole Alex Hormozy affiliate idea, right? Gather up all the people who are fans of yours and know what you offer, and let them do a lot of the work for you. Give them referral payments when they can get you talks and get you clients. Let other people start doing a lot of the talking for you. Again, it's who, not how, all over again. But I would do that much sooner. I would think more in terms of value that I deliver, have faith in what I know and how I can help people. And I would have saved 6 months.
I love it, because the question before, you're talking about the great advice that you had, but now since you're a practitioner now, I'm sure you have all this wisdom. And so I had to ask that question to you. Curtis, how can people find and connect with you? What's the best way?
Thank you, Kevin. I am on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, periodically on TikTok. On LinkedIn, it's just Curtis Butler. On Instagram and Facebook, Curtis A. Butler. And I try to put up regular content. And if you want to take a look at my website, I have a long company name, Guided Ascent Coaching.com, but there's an easier one also called JobReadyGrads.com. And if you're interested in a career in Wall Street, I also have the domain Campus to Wall Street with the number 2. And it really helps to Wall Street. And it's a program that helps college students really get on the internship bandwagon early enough, with enough success that they can actually land those incredibly choice and rare jobs after graduation.
So you're doing God's work, man. I really feel it. I don't know, it's something about helping the youth that really pulls at my heartstrings and stuff, because I really relate to it. I really relate to feeling lost or being forced in a career that I was like, oh my God, I really don't want to do this, but I don't know what else to do, right?
Right.
Thank you so much. Make sure to follow Curtis, and maybe we'll do a part 2. Who knows?
Sounds terrific. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.